Welcome to Star Watch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next. What does it really mean when a Chinese artist is no longer introduced as an idol or a traffic star, but as an international superstar by the global vice president of Warner Brothers Discovery, on a stage watched by the entire industry? At that creative conference in 2025, surrounded by producers, directors, and decision-makers, Wei Karen could have mentioned any project, any big name, any safe example. Instead, he chose to stop the room for one young man and one documentary, Wang Yibo and Exploring New Frontiers. In that moment, the usual noise of fandom, rumors, and online arguments fell away, and what remained was a simple, powerful question. Why him? Why would a global giant build a serious, long-term documentary franchise around a boy who once stood on stage as just another trainee? The answer, hinted at in every frame of his journey through snow, sea, and sand, is about more than fame. It is about authenticity, courage, and a quiet kind of influence that crosses languages and borders. Tonight, we are not here to debate scandal. We are here to understand how one artist walked, step by step, from the local spotlight into the global conversation. When the lights dimmed in the main forum hall of the 2025 China Radio and Television Masterpiece Creation Conference, most people in the audience thought they knew what to expect. It was the kind of room where prestige felt almost routine. Veteran directors, established producers, senior executives who had heard it all before. This was a place for safe speeches and polished industry jargon, not for surprises. Yet the atmosphere shifted the moment Wei Karen, global vice president of Warner Brothers Discovery, walked onto the stage and chose to anchor his keynote not in a Hollywood franchise or a global streamer, but in the story of a young Chinese artist and a documentary about the wilderness. He did not open with numbers or charts. Instead, he played a short video from Exploring New Frontiers, and the enormous screen filled with images of Wang Yibo clinging to an ice wall, diving beneath dark water, trudging through an unforgiving desert. There were no flashy transitions, no variety show laughter. Just a slender figure in a helmet and harness, breathing heavily, eyes focused, sometimes uncertain, always moving forward. A few people in the audience shifted in their seats, as if suddenly aware that this was not a typical showreel. Then came the words that quietly rewrote the room. Wei Karen described Wang Yibo not as a rising star for domestic audiences, not as a mere youth icon, but as an international star from China. It was a simple statement, delivered without drama. Yet it carried the weight of recognition, the feeling that a bridge had just been named between China's entertainment world and the global stage. For those who had dismissed him as just another traffic idol, it was a moment of recalibration. For others, it was a confirmation of something they had sensed but never heard said so plainly in such a serious setting. What made the moment so striking was that it was not built on hype, but on character. Wei Karen did not emphasize fan statistics or social media trends. He spoke about authenticity, about a young man willing to remove the armor of celebrity, to endure cold, heat, and fear in front of the camera, simply to show the world as it truly is. As the clip ended and the hall returned to silence, the applause that followed was not wild, but it was thoughtful. People were not just clapping for success. They were acknowledging a shift. In that instant, Wang Yibo's name stopped belonging only to fan forums and trending lists, and became part of a much larger, more serious conversation about where Chinese storytelling could go next. For a company like Warner Brothers Discovery, choosing a face for a long-term documentary project is never just about who is popular in the moment. It is a calculation about credibility, longevity, and whether an artist can carry a message that outlives a trend. When Wei Karen explained why they chose Wang Yibo, he did not hide behind vague compliments. He pointed directly to the one quality that, in his eyes, defines this generation of viewers: a hunger for authenticity. Young people, he said, have grown up surrounded by filters, edited personas, and carefully manufactured scandals. They can feel when something has been designed to manipulate them, and they turn away from it. Wang Yibo, in their experience, was different. Behind the quiet manner and the reserved expression, there was a young man willing to be seen struggling, hesitating, and learning in real time. In exploring new frontiers, he was not protected by the usual armor of a celebrity. The camera captured him shivering on a mountainside, fumbling with equipment, admitting fear before a dive, laughing at his own clumsiness, then trying again until he succeeded. For the production team, these were not weaknesses. They were the very reason he worked on screen. His honesty created a bridge between the dangers of the wild and the anxieties of modern youth. From a business point of view, this made him uniquely valuable. An international star in today's landscape is not only someone whose face is recognizable, but someone whose inner life feels relatable across cultures. Whether a viewer is sitting in Shanghai, Paris, or Sydney, they understand what it means to be tired, to be afraid, to push themselves one step further. Warner Brothers did not only choose Wang Yibo because he could attract clicks. They chose him because, in a noisy world, he has the rare ability to make people feel that what they are watching is real. For years, audiences had seen Wang Yibo framed by spotlights, perfectly timed music cues, and synchronized choreography. In that world, every movement was rehearsed, every angle considered. Exploring new frontiers tore all of that away. Instead of a polished stage, he was given ice walls, restless waves, and shifting sand. Instead of scripts and punchlines, he was given silence, altitude, and the sound of his own breathing echoing inside a helmet. The transformation was not in his clothes or hairstyle, but in the way the camera began to observe him. Not as a star performing for admiration, but as a human being negotiating with nature. Viewers watched him dig his crampons into the ice, fingers reddening in the cold, the line between determination and doubt written clearly on his face. They saw him disappear beneath the surface of the sea, currents shaking the lens, and then return with a childlike smile at the sight of a single fish. They saw him stumble in desert heat, wiping sweat with sand-dusted hands, still ready to make a small joke. The show refused to rescue him with shortcuts. It allowed the effort, the fear, and the fatigue to exist on screen. In doing so, it quietly asked the audience to reconsider what strength looks like. It is not the absence of vulnerability, but the decision to continue moving with it. When an idol meets the wilderness in this way, the distance between star and ordinary person narrows. What remains is a shared recognition. Everyone, no matter how famous, must bow their head before the wind, the ice, and the endless horizon. One of the quiet triumphs of exploring new frontiers is the way it speaks about the environment without ever sounding like a campaign. There are no slogans splashed across the screen, no dramatic monologues about saving the planet, no pointed lectures aimed at guilting the audience. Instead, the message is carried in gestures so small they could almost be missed. On a glacier, Wang Yibo kneels down, watching the faint watermark left by receding ice. He does not turn to the camera with a rehearsed line. He simply dips his fingers into the freezing water, feels its bite, and murmurs that they had to come early, or this might not be here at all. In another scene, he walks along a trail where tourists have left plastic bottles behind. There is no angry outburst, no staged confrontation. He bends down, picks them up, and tucks them into his backpack as naturally as fastening a microphone before a performance. These moments linger precisely because they are not emphasized. Viewers are given time to draw their own conclusions. That respect for nature begins with what we choose to leave behind, that some forms of loss are already quietly happening. Many fans later wrote that they started checking their bags before leaving a park, or thinking twice before dropping rubbish on a beach. They did not change because someone shouted at them, but because they recognized a simple truth. If a person constantly under the pressure of cameras can still make space to care for a glacier, a shoreline, or a path, then perhaps they, with more ordinary lives, can do the same. Long before any official announcement, it was clear that exploring new frontiers had not finished its conversation with Wang Yibo. In interviews, he spoke of unfinished curiosity, of landscapes he had not yet seen, questions he still wanted to ask of the world beyond city lights. So when talk of a second season began to surface, it did not feel like a calculated move to squeeze more numbers out of a successful title. It felt like the natural next step of a personal journey already in motion. The images that leaked from the new filming locations told their own story. Yibo emerging from a tangle of rainforest vines, trousers caked in mud as if the earth itself had tried to hold him back. a heavy backpack pulling at his shoulders, his hands stretching out to touch the leaf of a purple flower with the wide-eyed delight of a child discovering something no one has named yet. In one moment, he grins through scraped hands as he coaxes a spark from wood and friction, joking that it is far more difficult than balancing on a skateboard. The contrast is striking. The boy who once learnt to hold an audience by gliding across a smooth stage is now learning to survive on uneven ground where nothing is guaranteed. For viewers, this deepens the meaning of the series. Season 2 is not a repetition, but an expansion of the same question. What happens when a person who could easily remain comfortable chooses, again, to walk into discomfort? The answer, it seems, is that his passion ceases to be a slogan and becomes a map, inviting others to step into their own uncharted territories, one uncertain, honest step at a time. If today's story helped you see Wang Yibo in a new light, not just as a star, but as a symbol of authentic, international creativity, then you are exactly the kind of viewer we are so happy to have here on Star Watch Now. White Medium Star, thank you for spending your time with us. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Leave a comment telling us your favorite moment from exploring new frontiers, and subscribe to Star Watch Now so you do not miss our next deep dive into the real stories behind Asia's brightest stars. Turn on the notification bell. Stay curious, stay kind, and we'll see you in the next video. This is Star Watch Now, signing off. Glowing Star.